Good morning. It's good to see all of you today. I'm Sharon Love with the OUUC Tech Team. I use she, her pronouns. Welcome to all who are joining us on whatever platform you're using. This Zoom service is being recorded and it is streaming live to YouTube. We use the Zoom chat feature for greetings, song lyrics, affirmations and applause, and items shared from the heart. The chat is not posted or shared publicly. If you experience any technical issues during the service, you can reach out to Joe Celine or another member of the tech team for assistance when the chat is on. We appreciate the grace as we remember it's about connection, not perfection. Last, I hope you'll find a candle or a chalice. In a moment, we can light them together. Thank you for your grace and adaptability as we all learn together.
Let's sing together hymn number 21 for our morning song, For the Beauty of the Earth. You can also find the lyrics posted in the chat. Thank you for singing.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation online worship service. My name is Emmy Allen. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. We welcome each of you to this celebration of love and to this congregation. The OUUC community comes together in the mutual promises and possibilities of our covenant. We envision an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. We're so glad you are here. Leading worship with me today is our minister, Reverend Mary Geer, Troy Fisher, and our music director, and Sarah Lewis, the Director of Community and Faith Development. We are grateful for the many hands that have helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you to to the great breakout room hosts, the tech team members, and all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Mary. We invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat for a chance to gather with a small group. Each breakout room will be hosted by someone to help make sure everyone knows each other and has a chance to share. We hope you'll stay. Plan to stay after coffee chat today to join Sarah Lewis, Director of Community and Faith Development, for a Q&A session about member engagement. Sarah and Reverend Mary want to hear from you all about how we can be healthy and vibrant community that welcomes and engages folks both before and after they become members. Bring your experiences, your hopes, and your ideas to this somewhat reverse Q&A, where Sarah will be asking you the questions and envisioning a new member engagement effort. This week's Thursday evening spiritual practice is a musical meditation with Troy Fisher and Mary McCann. Join them at 7 p.m. on Thursday for a time to slow down and reconnect with your soul. The Zoom link is on the OUUC website. Last, the Environmental Action Team has a message to share.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Frank Kerr. I work with the Environmental Action Team, who brought you the Year of Climate Justice in 2018. The 2021 Glasgow Conference is coming up in 2 weeks. We on the Environmental Action Team have helped put together a local interfaith gathering to support the Glasgow Conference and give voice to those whose faith moves them to act. It will be one of hundreds of such gatherings all around the world. Think of that. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we'll have our 1-hour interfaith gathering. We will gather in the outdoor meditation garden behind Fertile Grounds, 911 Adams Street Southeast, just by the library. It's now a city park. In addition to spiritual presentations and a tree dedication, we will be able to ask our leaders to do the right thing after all these years. Now, distancing and masking will be expected. It may rain. I hope you can come and help speak up for our descendants who can't do it themselves. Thank you from the future.
There are many opportunities to stay connected to our community. Please check the website regularly. If you have questions or need help, please check in with a staff member. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. Welcome, everyone. It is good to be together. This morning and every Sunday morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. Please join me as we light our chalices with these words by Robin Wall Kimmerer from the book Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom. Know the ways of the ones who take care of you, so that you may take care of them. Introduce yourself. Be accountable as the one who comes asking for life. Ask permission before taking. Abide by the answer. Never take the first. Never take the last. Take only what you need. Take only that which is given. Never take more than half. Leave some for others. Harvest in a way that minimizes harm. Use it respectfully. Never waste what you have taken. Share. Give thanks for what you have been given. Give a gift in reciprocity for what you have taken. Sustain the ones who sustain you, and the earth will last forever.
Good morning, everyone. Our opening words this morning are offered by Laura Bogle. We gather here to remember this is our home, but not just ours. This land we live on, this water we drink, this air we breathe, these old mountains that hold us steady to our ground, these forests that give us their healing green, these flowers that give us their beauty and fragrance, these fields that give us our daily bread, these stars that show us our place. The wilderness and the tame backyards, all of it is our home. We remember the ancestors who have lived on this land and who have shaped it. The Coast Salish people, the settlers, the mountaineers, the farmers, the hunters, the immigrants, the artists, the families, the explorers, the business people, the engineers, the builders, the scientists, the teachers, the workers, the leaders. We inherit their choices. We honor the animals and creatures that have made their home in this land, the ones here now and the ones that used to be here. We envision the future generations who will live on this land and let their voices fill our hearts. We gather here to remember that this is our home, but not just ours. Come, let us worship together.
And let's sing together. Hymn number 163 is our opening song, For the Earth Forever Turning. And as always, you can find the lyrics posted in the chat. Thank you for singing.
Our story today is called Grandad's Prayers of the Earth. It's by Douglas Wood. This is the story of two best friends, a boy and his grandfather. They loved to walk in the woods together. They wouldn't walk far, and they wouldn't walk fast. They wouldn't even walk in a straight line. But as they walked, they talked. And the boy asked lots of questions. And one day, the boy asked about prayers.
And his granddad was quiet for a long time, took a deep breath. And when they came to the tallest trees in the forest, he looked up at them and replied, "Did you know that trees pray? Do you see how they reach for the sky? They reach and they reach for clouds and sun and moon and stars. What else is this but a form of prayer?" The boy thought about that and listened for the prayers of the trees. Then they came to some rocks, and the boy sat down. And grandfather said, "Rocks pray too. Why, pebbles and boulders and old weathered hills, they're still and silent. Those are two important ways to pray." They went a little farther on, and they came to a stream flowing along. The water splashed and sparkled. Tiny fish hovered in the shadows. Grandad said, "Streams pray too, and lakes and rivers and waters of all kinds. Sometimes they pray silently like the rocks, still and silent. And sometimes they pray actively as they flow and move. These are all different ways to pray, but there are more. The tall grass prays as it waves its arms beneath the sky, and flowers pray as they breathe their sweetness out into the air. The wind prays as it whispers and moans and sighs. It's singing a prayer and a hymn at the same time. A bird prays. When it sings the first song of the morning, and it prays in that silent moment just before it sings. And the robin's last song at sundown is an evening prayer. All the beings of the world pray as they slip through the forest or sparkle in the waters, as they climb the mountainsides or burrow in the dirt. Each living being gives its life to the beauty of all, and that is its prayer. They were quiet for a long while after that, and the boy listened for these prayers of the earth. And he thought about the rocks and the water and the trees. And then he asked his granddad about the prayers of people. And his granddad smiled and said, "Oh, people pray some of the most wonderful prayers of all. Why, bending down to smell a flower can be a prayer. Quietly watching the sunrise or the sunset, being part of that slow turning of the earth, saying hello to a new day, that's one of the oldest prayers. Standing in the snowy woods at night and seeing your breath become part of the breath of the world, that's a form of prayer. Making music or a painting is a prayer. Holding hands around the table with other people, with family and friends. Remembering that all that holds us together and giving thanks for it. That's one of the greatest prayers. Sometimes people pray when they are sad or sick or lonely or have a problem too big to carry themselves. They may say words that they learned from their fathers or mothers or granddads or great-grandmothers, but often they just make up the words that feel right to them in that moment. And the important thing to remember is that the prayer is real when it comes from your heart. They had walked far enough that day, and Grandad said it was time to go back. But the boy had one more question. "Are our prayers answered?" he asked. At that, Grandad laughed. "Oh, most prayers aren't really questions," he said. And if you listen hard enough, a prayer is usually its own answer. Like the trees and the winds and the waters, we pray because we are here. Not to change the world, but to change ourselves. And in changing ourselves, that is how the world is changed. The boy and his granddad went on many more walks after that, and always he listened for the prayers of the earth. Thus ends our story.
Thank you, Sarah. The stewardship team has a message for us today.
There was a time about 10 years ago, we and my family experienced a major house fire. And so we were displaced from our home for about a year. And we weren't church people at that point. But then during that time, we were looking for some more grounding. And so we started looking around for a community, a place where we could feel more of that grounding. And then we came across the OUUC. And then it all began from there. So we felt welcomed into the congregation. And from the beginning, it was kind of new for us because we haven't been part of a church. It's been 30 years for me. So it was kind of like a point of like, what is this? And so through the months and years, just became more involved in the congregation. From this experience, my wife and I are talking, I'm like, do you think we would have found OUUC if we didn't have that house fire? Because that was the catalyst to find something more for our family. And then it kind of grew from there. And also realizing like the importance of our children to have some religious background. We thought that was important, but we didn't know what that looked like. That was an additional piece of starting to come here and realizing this give a good foundation within a religion. And then wanting them to have some kind of background with religion, because as they grow older, they're going to come across people with different faiths, different beliefs, and to have some kind of understanding or experience around what their beliefs are, what they are spiritually. So that became an important piece for us.
One of the pieces that was most special for me this past year during the pandemic was the online classes and the fact that many of them were made intergenerational. So my daughter and I took the neighboring faiths class together, and we interacted with a lot of really fantastic people, and it was a really great opportunity to again, in terms of everyone welcome. We're welcoming a 11-year-old voice at the table just as much as anyone else, and it was a really fun year-long program that helped both of us go through that learning opportunity together.
You know, having a family and young kids, our lives are busy, but it's nice to have a place you can always kind of go back to that with the kids and their programming, like they've been in the religious programming for about 10 years. And so knowing Sarah or knowing Anissa, and you know, the many adult volunteers, it's just been a really great kind of having that community outside their home, outside their family, having more resources that that they have available to themselves. And as they grow older, that this becomes more important to have, I feel like, positive adult role models more in their life.
With gratitude to the stewardship team, and thank you all for your generous pledges. We came together in community this morning, bringing all that is in our lives. In this space, we draw on the strength of this community to listen deeply and hold all that we bring here with us. In this space, we share from our hearts what brings us joy and sorrow, what brings us worry and delight, what makes us afraid, and what makes us dance. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life, our own and others. If you would like to send in something to share, please look for the link on the OUUC website or send me an email and we'll bring it into the service next week. You will hear a drum beat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of our community. So right now, let's just take a breath together, in and out, as we open our hearts to receive the complexity of all that is in our lives and community today. Maggie Post shares that her daughter Abby is out of the save your life phase and in the rehabilitation phase, which is really good news. Abby is recovering from laparoscopic gallbladder surgery and on her way to healing. As Maggie heads back to Montana to help with her granddaughters, she asks for our prayers and caring thoughts. Maggie, we wish you safe travels, good time with your family, and we send our healing prayers to Abby. And we send our congratulations to Fred Kellogg and Beatrice Owana. I was honored to officiate at their wedding yesterday, a joyous celebration of their love and their life together. May they have many years of happiness. I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat on your screen. This is a time to share all that you wish, joys and sorrows and whatever else is shared from your heart. And as we take in what is posted, let's hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. We'll place a stone in the water for all that has been shared from the heart, holding the complexity of our lives, held in the water of community. We'll place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. I invite you now into a time of reflection, prayer, and meditation. Infinite web of life, spirit of love, great mystery. In this time of worry and fear, anger and despair, may we find courage and hope in ourselves and in each other and in our interconnected world. May we find courage and comfort in our connection. We offer gratitude to the earth, our home. May we hold all life with care. Imagine with me reaching down to take a handful of earth, feeling the coolness, the damp, the potential for life. Imagine with me reaching out to touch the bark of a tree, both rough and smooth, home to creatures preparing for winter. Imagine with me reaching up to touch the sky, cloudy or bright, with sunshine or stars, reminding us of mystery and wonder. Imagine with me a world tended with love and care. May we make this so. Blessed be, and amen. Let's hold a moment of silence together.
Let's sing together hymn number 4. I brought my spirit to the sea. You can find the lyrics posted in the chat. I brought my spirit to the sea. I stood upon the shore. I gazed upon infinity. I heard the waters roar. And then there came a sense of peace. A whisper calmed my soul. Some ancient ministry of stars had made my spirit whole. I brought my spirit to the trees that moved against the sky. I touched each wandering ceaseless breeze to know if God was nigh.
Our prayers and meditations deepen our gratitude for what we know as sacred in our lives and in this world. Each Sunday, we express our gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. The offering collected here does two things. It supports the ongoing work of OUUC, which is also supported by your regular pledges. This offering also supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. Our Share the Plate recipient for September and October is Rebuilding Together Thurston County. We have a video to share about their work.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Johnson, and I'm Executive Director for Rebuilding Together Thurston County. Our mission is to repair homes, revitalize communities, and rebuild lives for low-income homeowners in our community who need help with everything from ADA modifications to replacing and repairing hot water tanks, building wheelchair ramps, basic needs that they have in their home that they can't afford to do themselves. Most of our homeowners live on $1,150 a month, and many of them live in mobile home parks where their rent is $650 a month. So you can see it leaves them just $500 a month to cover basic expenses. And if something major breaks, then they need us and we need you. So thank you so much for inviting us here today. Thank you so much for supporting us, the congregation's monetary support, as well as any volunteer help that you would like to give the organization would certainly be welcomed. Since our founding in 2003, we've helped over 700 people in Thurston County continue to live in their home. We prevent them from becoming homeless, and they can live in dignity in their own home, in their neighborhood, with their friends, doctors, and their pets around them. So thank you so much for supporting us. We really, really appreciate it.
Please note that you can participate in the offering by making a donation online through this church website or by texting the number that will appear on your screen in just a moment. You can also mail a check to OUUC. Reverend Victoria Weinstein reminds us that one of the privileges of our free church tradition is to provide all of the financial support for our many ministries from among ourselves. Generosity, therefore, is one of the spiritual values we recognize as central to our personal and institutional well-being. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
I don't know how. No, I don't know how. I've never done this before, at least until now. Learned by heart the hard and easy parts, but I'm feeling it clearly. The old song's grown weary. I will sing a new song. The old ones carried me this far and for so long, but it's time to walk on, lifting up my voice and heart with a new song. How it grows out of the a new song for new needs, so I'll follow its lead. Here I stand, all I truly am. So I'll rise up and lift up this new curious cup. I will sing a new song. The old ones carried me this far and for so long, but it's time to walk on, lifting up my voice new song. In each life of worry and strife must be room to untangle the singing of angels, all that last and must surely pass, all that's common and holy, all that's shot through glory. I will sing a new song. Old ones carried me this far and for so long, but it's time to walk on, lifting up my voice and heart with a new song. Oh, that's breathless and beautiful. All I've lost and I've retrieved. All the songs that I was born to sing. A new song. The old ones carried me this far and for so long, but it's time to walk on, lifting up my voice and heart with a new song. I don't know how, no, I don't know how. I've never done this before, at least until now.
Thank you, choir, and thank you for your generous gifts. Our first reading is from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verses 26 and 27. God spoke, "Let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, and yes, earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth."
Today's second reading is from The Threat of Global Warming, Climate Change, a Statement of Conscience adopted by the Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly in 2006. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called by our seventh principle to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. We envision a world in which all people are assured a secure and meaningful life that is ecologically responsible and sustainable, in which every form of life has intrinsic value. In other words, Unitarian Universalists are called to defer to a balance between our individual needs and those of all other organisms. Entire cultures, nations, and life forms are at risk of extinction, while basic human rights to adequate supplies of food, fresh water, and health, as well as sustainable livelihoods for humans, are being undermined. To live, we must both consume and dispose. Both our consumption and our disposal burden the interdependent web of existence. To sustain the interdependent web, We must burden it less while maintaining the essentials of our lives. Hurricanes Katrina and Rita are painful omens of how racism, sexism, and poverty worsen the effects of global warming and climate change. Our world is calling us to gather in community and respond for our moral and spiritual wealth. Together, we can transform our individual and congregational lives into acts of moral witness, discarding our harmful habits for new behaviors and practices that will sustain life on earth, ever vigilant against injustice. This ends our readings.
A few weeks ago, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service removed 23 species from the endangered species list. It was not because the species had recovered, but because they had not been seen in the wild for decades, and so are most likely extinct. 11 birds, including the largest woodpecker, 8 species of freshwater mussels, and 2 freshwater fish, a fruit bat, and a plant, all gone due to the loss of habitat, dams, pollution, logging, and invasive species. Gone due to the impact of humanity on the world around us, the world of which we are a part. A few weeks from now, the United Kingdom will host the 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of the Parties in Glasgow, Scotland, COP26. The subtitle of this conference is Uniting the World to Tackle Climate Change. This conference has been happening for 26 years, since 1995, intended to set goals for addressing climate challenges. The stakes are higher every year, and even higher now. A few days ago, the president-designate of the conference, Alok Sharma, said in a speech in Paris, quote, "Responsibility rests with each and every country, because on climate, the world will succeed or fail as one." The next day, a study by Germany's Mercator Research Institute on Global Commons and Climate Change found that 80% of the Earth's land, where 85% of the population lives, felt the effects of weather events made worse by climate change. We are in this storm together. Today's reading from the book of Genesis also speaks of responsibility. Let us make human beings in our image so they can be responsible for earth itself and every animal that moves on the face of the earth. Being responsible for the earth is a little different interpretation of this ancient text that some of us are familiar with. More traditional versions of this Bible verse use words like humankind will rule over or have dominion over all the animals of the earth, or will be the master of all life on earth. In my view, that's language that sets up a relationship of domination and exploitation. Be responsible suggests a relationship of stewardship, tending to and caring for something of value, loving our earth. Words matter, and the words of our sacred texts matter even more because they help inform our beliefs. As a liberal religious tradition, we read sacred texts as living documents, open to interpretation based on what is real in this world now. We are open to singing a new song. I chose the Message Bible interpretation for our reading today because its words better reflect a theology of the Unitarian Universalist Association Statement of Conscience on Climate Change. We are part of the interdependent web, and we are responsible to and for that web of life. As a people of faith, we understand this responsibility, and through our actions, individually and collectively, we make that responsibility real. We join with other people of faith because even people with different theological foundations can have a shared understanding that we will succeed or fail as one. The Green Faith event tomorrow is an example, a beautiful example of a coming together to worship and act for climate justice. I've spoken before about the importance of spiritually grounded justice, and Green Faith understands this. By spiritual, I don't necessarily mean something otherworldly. I mean being grounded in the awareness that there is something greater than us as individuals. A humanist might name that something as the power of we, what we can accomplish when we come together. A Christian or Jew or Muslim might name that something God or Allah or Jesus. Someone else might name it infinity or all that is, or the infinite web of life and love. No matter what you name it, living a spiritual life means acknowledging and being aware of something greater and drawing on that something for courage and inspiration, even drawing on it for hope. For last week's question box service, Shelley Farrer asked, what are the theological traditions in Unitarian Universalism that support hope in this time of climate change? Thank you, Shelley, for the question. And this is what I think. The Unitarian tradition of reliance on reason and science helps us embrace what we can know about the world we live in and understand the impact of our actions on the environment. This offers hope because we can only change what we acknowledge and understand. Our Universalist tradition informs our seventh principle, the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. An awareness of our connection to other humans, other beings, and the earth, grounding in relationships, and the inspiration to care for each other and all life. The Universalist belief that everyone, all beings, are worthy of care and love. Our theology supports the spiritual practice of hope because we say that we are connected and we can make a difference together. I imagine spiritually grounded justice work as the exchange between the inner and the outer. We identify and clarify and deepen our values and beliefs, and then we go and act in the world. We live in our families and our communities. We connect with others, and we live our mission and purpose. Then we bring those experiences back into our awareness again to learn from them. and then we go back out into the world again. The continual flow from the inner to the outer and inner and outer is a figure 8, which on its side is the symbol for infinity. And infinity is about abundance. It calls on the idea that love is infinite, that the interconnected web of life is infinite. And if we connect with each other and with something greater from that place of love and abundance, we will find our way to enough, enough for all beings. And that gives me hope. So before we go out and do the work of climate justice, the work that we must do, we can find some spiritual grounding. So I invite you now into a guided meditation to journey inward, then outward, connecting to something greater. So get comfortable wherever you are. Feel the ground beneath you, through your feet. Connect to the Mother Earth, the source of all life. And relax your body, your head and shoulders and neck, your arms, your core, your legs and feet. Remember to breathe in and out. Relax your gaze or close your eyes as you are comfortable. And as you are able, bring into your mind's eye this world, this beautiful earth, the blue marble floating in space. Then bring into your awareness something of this earth that you are grateful for. It might be a person or another being, an animal or a plant, an insect or a bird. It might be a place, a mountain, a body of water. Bring what you are grateful for fully into your awareness, what it looks like, sounds like, smells like, tastes like, and feels like. As you hold in your awareness with love what you are grateful for, notice the feeling of gratitude within you. Where do you feel that gratitude in your body? Is it in your heart, your chest, your core, your belly? Is it everywhere within you? Notice that feeling with curiosity and love. And now bring into your awareness again our earth. And bring to mind something of this earth that you feel the loss of. It could be a person or another being, an animal, a place, a mountain, a body of water. Bring it fully into your awareness, what it looks like, smells like, sounds like, feels like. As you hold in your awareness what you are grieving, notice the feeling within you. Where do you feel this loss in your body? Is it in your heart, your chest, your core, your belly, throughout your body? Notice this feeling of loss within you and be with it just for a moment. Notice that feeling with curiosity and love. And when you've located the grief and the gratitude within your body, imagine those feelings as delicate strands of thread that flow out of you. Imagine strands of grief and gratitude flowing out of all of the people here today. And imagine your strands connecting with the strands of everyone here now. And in your mind's eye, as you imagine that web that we've created here, expand your vision to imagine our threads of grief and gratitude connecting with the threads of everyone in our neighborhoods, in our cities, in our state. Imagine a large web of connecting threads. And now imagine our threads of grief and gratitude connecting with the threads of people all around our country, throughout our continent, around the world, and even expanded out into space. Imagine the infinite web of life, the infinite web of connecting threads. And imagine that web all connected, holding the grief, sharing the gratitude, all held in love. And now in your mind's eye, as you imagine that infinite web of life and love, find your threads in the web, your threads of grief and gratitude, and follow them back into your body, back into your places of grief and gratitude. And notice those feelings now. Have they changed? And recall just for a moment what you are grieving the loss of. And as you hold that grief in love, you might offer a word of thanks that it has existed. And as you recall what you are grateful for, hold that feeling of gratitude and love, and you might imagine or whisper a word of gratitude. And as we breathe together in this moment, connected by the web of life, let's hold a moment of silence together. May we recognize that we belong to this earth and to each other. May we recognize the abundance in ourselves, in this community, and in this amazing and beautiful world. And may we have the courage to act out of hope and love. Amen.
Let's sing together hymn number 175 for our closing song. We celebrate the web of life. You can find the lyrics posted in the chat. Thank you for singing.
As we extinguish our chalices together, may the light honor our grief for what we have lost and what we will lose. May the light remind us to breathe, for we need the breath of life. And may the light gather and sustain us in community as we commit to action and to hope. May we move in peace.
Let's sing together our unison benediction.